The oil spill may become the worst in America's history. It may be the worst natural disaster we've ever faced.
You know, I understand that there were some measures that should have been taken that weren't, but is it really impossible to stop this thing? I mean, it's frightening.
Well, it's a mile underwater, and what are you going to do? They've got to put a cap on this thing. It's gushing as hard as you. They got to get something to force it down. And they've tried and it doesn't work. But, Terry, I don't want to over-spiritualize, but is the Lord doing something? This is going to kill the coastline. It's going to go, we're going to talk about how it's going to spread up into Florida, come around the Atlantic. It may well come up here, go into Europe. It's going to go all over the world.
Well, we don't really know the implications it's having on the sea right now.
Oh, yeah,
the surface.
But it's going to get so much worse unless something happens. So, anyhow.
Well, experts saying this could go on until Christmas. That's the new speculation today. The spill is already crippling Gulf Coast businesses during what really ought to be the beginning of the tourism season. Jennifer Wishon has the story.
Chris Holdren's commercial fishing boat is named Stress Management. It's something he and so many residents along the Gulf of Mexico desperately need.
I mean, there's just absolutely nothing we can do.
The thick, oily goo that's plagued the marshlands and beaches of Louisiana for weeks now hovers just miles off the coast of Florida, threatening the Sunshine State's white beaches that generate millions for the tourism industry.
We're going to take pictures and say this, we may not see it this pretty for a while.
So far, BP's efforts to cap the well have failed. Now the worst-case scenario is that oil will continue spewing into the ocean until the end of this year, possibly even into next year. Business owners who depend on tourism are at a loss.
Are we going to be out of business just this summer? Is it going to take longer than 1 year? I mean, they haven't even stopped it yet.
Nearly 90,000 square miles of Gulf fisheries are now closed.
I have 3 boats. It's a lot of investment. They're worthless right now.
Along with the livelihoods of thousands of fishermen, it's also affecting the bottom lines of restaurants across the country.
Half of the shrimp in America come from here. Almost half of the oysters come from here. You know, this is a very, very important part of our food supply. We are losing our seafood basket as we lose the health of the Gulf of Mexico.
Some scientists fear the spill has become so severe it may alter the chemistry of the infected waters. It's been more than 2 decades since the Exxon Valdez spill, and Alaska's Prince William Sound still hasn't fully recovered.
Of the 30 species that they studied, 10 recovered fully, 20 have not recovered fully. They're still in stages of recovery. That's after 20 years.
BP continues drilling a relief well that should be completed by early August, but that progress could be set back by an active hurricane season. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Thanks, Jennifer. Terry, you know, you've got the Icelandic volcano. Looks like the second one that
about to erupt.
Yeah, it's going to erupt, and we said that may have been worse than the other one, which is going to hinder transatlantic aviation for months, maybe years. Now you've got this thing is going to come across Florida. Then there's a current that'll pick it up, little eddies, and then it'll come all the way up, even hit New England, and then go out into the Atlantic to Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an environmental disaster of simply monumental proportions, and we don't have any out here yet. But we say, God, do something for us. And I think there should be a tremendous amount of prayer, because if we don't pray, this thing is going to hurt those people in the Gulf and Mississippi and Louisiana and Florida and up the East Coast.
Oh, goodness, restaurants all over the country. I mean,
oh, yeah, the seafood, yeah. But, I mean, it's just not restaurant. I mean, it's our whole way of life. But it just shows how vulnerable we are. And if there was ever a time we need to pray and say, God, spare this nation and bring us to righteousness so we'll be in a position of blessing. But this is anything but blessing. Lee Webb has the rest of our stories. Lee?
Pat, the White House is denying that it offered a job to Colorado Democrat Andrew Romanoff if he would drop out of a Senate race against a candidate favored by President Obama. Romanoff says one of the president's top advisors encouraged him to apply for an international development job instead of getting into the Senate race.
He suggested 3 positions that might be available to me were I not to pursue a Senate a race and emailed me descriptions of those positions that day. I informed him that I was not going to change course.
The White House says it simply asked Romanoff if he was still interested in the job. When he said no, the discussion was over. This is the second controversy, though, over alleged backroom deals for candidates by the Obama White House. The administration offered Pennsylvania Democrat Joe Sestak an unpaid position on a federal advisory board if he would give up his primary challenge to Senator Arlen Specter. Sestak refused and beat Specter. The White House says it did nothing wrong, but Republicans want an investigation to see if federal laws were broken. Pat, do you think an independent counsel will need to be appointed?
Oh, Lord, don't bring us back to those independent counsels. I hope we don't have one of them, but I'm not sure the Justice Department under Obama is capable of investigating itself. They won't do it. They won't give a third job. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Chicago politics writ large is what we're dealing with. This is nothing in Chicago. Of course you'd pay off somebody to get out of a race. I mean, that'd be standard procedure. But in the federal arena, it is a crime. It is a federal crime. And so people are saying the White House, somewhere along the way, committed federal crime. Very serious. Lee?
More than 40% of unmarried American teenagers say they have had sex. A new study from the National Center for Health Statistics reports that 4.3 million teens have had sex at least once. The trend has flattened out since the last 2 decades when teen pregnancy was in decline. 1 in 5 teen girls and 1 in 4 teen boys who've had sex say they would actually be pleased if pregnancy resulted from the act. The report also found that about a quarter of female teens and 29% of males claim to have had multiple partners. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defended Israel's naval blockade of the Gaza Strip. He also says Israel is facing hypocrisy. Chris Mitchell has that story.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu tried to explain Israel's naval blockade of the Gaza Strip on Tuesday, saying Hamas had missiles that can reach major Israeli cities like Tel Aviv and maybe soon Jerusalem.
Hamas is smuggling thousands of Iranian rockets, missiles, and other weaponry, smuggling it into Gaza in order to fire on Israel's cities.
Israel allows literally tons of aid to cross into the Gaza Strip via land every day, but keeps the seaport blocked. 9 pro-Palestinian activists were killed when Israeli troops boarded one of 6 ships trying to run the blockade under the guise of carrying humanitarian aid. Israel said its soldiers were ambushed and released new footage showing the so-called peace activists attacking Israeli soldiers as they tried to board the Mavi Marmara. Netanyahu defended Israel's actions.
Under international law and under common sense and common decency, Israel has every right to interdict this weaponry and to inspect the ships that might be transporting them.
But the United Nations has condemned Israel for the raid. Elliot Abrams, former Deputy National Security Advisor for the Bush administration, told CBN News the Obama administration failed to defend Israel in the UN Security Council by allowing the council to use the word condemn.
I think the United States should have been a better, tougher supporter of Israel and told people in the United Nations who were essentially a lynch mob that we were not going to permit it. We were not going to permit a condemnation or the use of the word condemn for that flotilla of terrorist sympathizers.
2 more ships are en route and negotiations are underway to prevent another violent confrontation. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Pat, I had an opportunity to interview retired Army General Jerry Boykin about this situation. He has an interesting take about what Turkey is up to here, and you're going to play a portion of that interview when you interview Daniel Pipes in just a few minutes.
Look forward.
Welcome to Washington for this CBN News break. President Obama has directed federal agencies to extend benefits for same-sex partners of federal government employees. The new benefits include child care services and expanded family and medical leave. The president's directive covers only benefits that can be extended under existing law. Lawmakers would be required to approve other benefits, such as health care. Earlier this week, the White House issued a press release that says We must give committed gay couples the same rights and responsibilities afforded to any married couple and repeal the Defense of Marriage Act. The act defines marriage as a legal union between one man and one woman. 2 Connecticut public schools are now holding off on appealing a ruling that banned them from holding graduation ceremonies inside a church. The schools in Bloomfield had been told that graduation services held inside a church would be an unconstitutional endorsement of religion. The American Center for Law and Justice is representing the district. ACLJ says the schools will discuss a possible appeal at a board meeting scheduled for this evening. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.